Yes, I know many people are laughing at Gyökeres' debut for Arsenal against Spurs. Let's not forget, this is now a machine of a striker, or should I say a forward player, along with Sesko. But I'm wondering if all of the buzz names and the lack in world-class, if they are world-class, quality forwards in world football right now has made clubs just want to grab the name, what is the in thing at the time, rather than bringing in players what are more suitable for the style of play for that club. I'm Matt Ward, this is Just Football and Soccer, and I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper about what I mean right now. Now, what I'm going to say isn't meaning to sound like I don't rate Gyökeres or I do not rate Sesko, because look, I see him in Champions League. I'm not going to come out and say, oh yeah, watch a Bundesliga every week. However, like everyone, you watch highlights, you take more notice when they're being linked to English clubs, especially in the Premier League. And you do actually remember and think, yeah, they were all right in the Champions League. They held their own. You start looking into their specific skills and ability a little bit closer. And then you start to see certain patterns. Now, just like many forwards now in the game, we are moving away, especially the top teams, we are moving away from the big one, hold-up player, target man, striker at the top, with the wide forwards or the creative attacking midfielders doing all of the work and moving into the space created by the main striker. Now that's the key, what I'm going to revisit very soon. Whereas now we're in some kind of fashion where we have these power strikers which can actually come deep, collect the ball, turn quickly, and they can basically beat players from the halfway line. They can shoot from outside the box. They can finish from inside the box. And that would lead me to class him as more of a forward than an actual, that's a number 9 striker. Now maybe I'm from a different era from some of the younger people, although I'm not super old. I am from an era where I can remember good number 9 strikers and of course the traditional wingers. But now when I'm looking at the teams who have bought Gyökeres, Arsenal, the way they're probably looking to play, and look, obviously Arsenal fans are going to know more than this than me, but judging and just watching the pre-season matches as well, and judging by the players they have in wide areas and the amount of crosses they're trying to put in, there's no Giroud in the box anymore to finish these. There's no Bergkamp dropping deep to collect the ball and create for Ian Wright running or Henry running beyond. Let's not forget Anelka, another quality striker they had. Okay, so what we have now at Arsenal, what Arsenal have now, and look, it may change, okay, but this is what people may be getting confused with and just saying, oh, Gyökeres, what a laugh. If he was in a different team from the get-go, where the team would revolve around him, then he may be that lead player, that main guy, what everything goes through. But what you get now is he's basically doing the same job as the attacking midfielders or the wide forwards or the forward players, which Harry Kane seemed to like doing, dropping in. So when he played with Sonny, Harry Kane would drop deep and then the defence was kind of stood there, no one to mark because there wasn't anyone holding up top, and they could just push up and then pressure Spurs and press them and hold them in their own half. Then they could get countered. However, teams don't press and they just stop deep. There's no presence to drag the defenders out of their space to create spaces for attacking players to get in behind the defence. This is one of the strengths what having a main target man or main number 9, let's say for example Holland does nowadays. You don't get that. So this could be a similar thing what may happen if Sesko ends up going to Manchester United. Now, if he goes to United, it could be the same kind of thing, which may happen. It may not happen at Arsenal. I could be totally wrong. Probably will be. However, it could happen. And the same could happen at United with Sesko if he does end up going. He doesn't go to Newcastle if he is going to one of them 2 clubs. And you could have Mbeumo, and then you've got Cunha, and then you've got Sesko. Now, although Sesko is a little bit more, I would say, ideal in the box, he scores more headers. From the stats I was reading the other day, only around 14% of Gyökeres' goals in the past has come from headers. whereas Sesko does look a little bit more of a, let's say, a complete striker, although he's got similar traits where he can drop deep, he can hold up the ball, he can turn quickly, and then he can attack the defenders running with a ball, and they are both deadly at shooting from outside the box or beating players even from the halfway line. If you've seen their goals of the highlight reels, what everyone loves, you will see that they're capable of spinning away from defenders, outpacing them. Both got terrifying pace, especially for quite big lads. But with Sesko, I just feel that he could be occupying the same areas where Cunha and Mbeumo want to be operating. And unless something would be like working in rotation, where one would go in and one would come out to the other position and they'll rotate, makes it really hard for the opposition team to defend or to follow the marker. If they're floating in and out, different pockets, different spaces, and different positions, great. But you've got to remember now, Arsenal, and I know people are going to laugh because they're like, United, they're going to be anywhere near top half or top 5 or top 4. In my Premier League predictions, I think they're going to be, or I believe they're going to be top 5. Okay, get the laughter out now. Nice one. And teams are not going to press them to give them the space behind for the deep runs of Gyökeres and potentially Sesko. Okay, you're going to have teams what are just sitting back. Now, when teams sit back and defend with low blocks, there's no space. There's no space between the lines to collect the ball, and there's no space behind the defensive line for strikers or forwards to run onto. So this could be a problem that both teams may face with the forwards, Gyökeres, and if Sesko goes to United. Instead of having that main, I'm not going to say main target man, like a big Duncan Ferguson or something like that, but someone who operates in and around the box or who may not be involved in a match, but will come alive when there's a goal threat. Okay, so that's your out-and-out goal scorer. They're just interested. Penalty area. Ruben Nistelrooy, perfect example, although he could score a goal from the halfway line, dribbling it around a few players, running with the ball, as we know. But clinical finisher, comes alive in a box. And again, people will laugh at me at this, but Højlund's probably going to leave United now. And for me, I would like him as that focal point to occupy some defenders, some space, to then create space for Cunha, for Bruno, and for Mbeumo to get in. And I just think that's going to be a better fit. But looks like it won't work out like that. However, if you get Šeško going to, let's say, Newcastle, no disrespect to Newcastle, because Isak goes, then he would be the main focal point where they wouldn't mind him collecting the ball from deep. Isak can also do that, although he can finish more as like an out-and-out striker as well. But if he goes, then I'm guessing Sesko would have that freedom to be the main player, the main spotlight, what everything runs through. So I just think that dynamic has to be right for the teams, for the philosophy, for the way they want to be playing with the other players that they bought as well. And I just think that sometimes the bigger clubs take their eye off this point and they just want to grab the player for the most money because everyone wants him and it's in vogue, it's fashionable. We should be remembering what works best for the team on a whole. I'm not saying they won't be successful. I really hope that Gyökeres is, and especially if Sesko ends up coming to United as well, then amazing. But I do think that people just need to be aware and be patient with them, and team's dynamic might have to change to suit these players as well. If you do look at last season's top goal scorers, then you'll see that Mo Salah's there, 29 goals. You've got Isak's there with 23 goals. Mbeumo's there with 20 goals. These are Cole Palmer, Cunha, who you would say are kind of more forwards rather than just a main out-and-out striker. For example, Højlund's there, third top goal scorer with 22. And then you got Chris Wood. Now, Chris Wood from Forest was a perfect example where Forest had really good wide play and they'll just get the ball in, get it in and around the box, cause the issues, and Chris Wood had deliveries on the plate sometimes, which also helped him to have an awesome season. So that's what I'm talking about. Chris Wood was Forest's main focal point because they was playing to their strengths, especially with a wide play. Whereas you could argue that Ollie Watkins for Villa would fall in the category of Gyokeres or Sesko as one of them kind of power forwards. They're not just going to stay in and around the box like Haaland. I know Haaland can also run in behind the defence, but he's a goal scorer. He comes alive when he's in the box. So when you do look at the previous season's goal scorers, they are more of them attacking, all-round, versatile forward players. You won't call them an out-and-out striker. So this is, out of all the clubs, out of all the transfers, this is one thing I think they're going to have to try and be really careful about, figure it out, or players might just hit it off, the balance might be right, they might get some nice rotations going, the style of play might actually complement the players as well, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they solve the problems of playing against teams that just want to sit back in low blocks, just want to defend with about 8, 9, 10 players behind the ball. And that's when you will need some special flair to break the lines or to make something happen. I'm going to be really interested then to see how these forwards who like dropping deeper so they can turn and run at players are going to handle that. What an amazing season coming up. Even if you don't agree with me, even though I've just talked a load of rubbish, stick your comments in below. Let me know what you think and let me know what your perceived suitable striker would be for your club. And it is going to be a problem if Sesko goes to United or if he would be better off at Newcastle. And if Gyökeres is going to put all the doubters to shame and smash up the Premier League. Watch more videos and playlists right here.